Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another podcast episode of the Do Well podcast. My name is Craig Bass,
And I'm Jalen Havier.
and we are super excited to have you. And first of all, I just want to
Sir.
say thank you so much for listening to our podcast and for tuning in.
Yes.
There is a sea of voices out there that you can listen to. And so we
Yes.
just appreciate you coming in and chilling with us for a little bit today.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, man. And if you wanted to lock in with us, greater support, man, you can just go ahead and like and subscribe to our channels. We are currently on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Anchor. You can go there all under Do Well Podcast. You can like, subscribe, share it. Message touches you, man. We got certain clips on YouTube. If you don't want to watch the whole episode, it's all good. Watch a clip, bro. Watch a clip, bro. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah, watch
that
clip. We know you're busy.
You know you busy, bro.
You know we got stuff to do.
Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? But if you see a clip on there and it speaks to you, bro, share that thing.
Share
we
that.
Appreciate you, man. We appreciate any support, man. Thank y'all. Seriously.
Yes. Thank y'all. And since we're talking about busyness and life and responsibilities that we all have as responsible adults.
Yes.
Today, we're going to be talking about the value of work.
Yes.
The value of work. Does our work have value and meaning? Does certain kind of work have more meaning than others? These are the kind of questions that a lot of our generation and older generations that they think about, right?
Yeah, for sure. Man, I hear it saying, my mom always says it. She's like, I like y'all generation. Y'all ain't gonna stay nowhere. Y'all want to stay a long time.
Bruh, they generation, they get a good job. They stay there for 30 years.
Boy, it's I'm talking about. They listen. They're like, how old? My child, how old? They 1 year old. All right, let me see. I'm gonna stay here. 24. Okay, make sure they good. Get out of college. Okay, they good. Okay, had another one. Okay, add another 5 on there. It's just extended. Like. And we just the opposite.
I know, right? It is real. It's real. My last job, I worked at a law firm, and most of the staff, because I worked as a part of the administrative staff, and many of them have been there for 30 years, 25 years, 20 years. And I'm just like, what? Like that's sort of unheard of in our generation. We get a job, we're there for 2 years at the max. Some people don't even do that. Some people just be like, hey, I'm out of here in a year. But, we do about 2-3 years, and then we're going to the next one.
That's so real. Yeah, you're right, man. You're right. And I think it's a part of our DNA, man, as a generation. I know sometimes they try to say they say the ADHD generation, or they try to say, we move so quickly. But I think, man, overall, I think a lot of it is with our generation, we're seeing people really become more open about wanting to really have passion about what they work at, where they work. You know what I'm saying? I think that's where, it's more vocal. I think people always felt it over the years, but I think now with increasing technology, increasing opportunities, I think people are now like, oh, I finally got a chance to be more selective about what I want to do. I want to do something that is fulfilling. But I think it asks that greater question, like you said. Where does passion lie in this, and what is the purpose of work? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and even greater than that is, does God value my work? Does God value my work? And especially if I'm not in the ministry.
That's real. That's real.
I work in finance. I'm an accountant. Or I work in medicine, or I'm a cashier at Walmart. Like, does God value the work that I do there? Does that mean that I have purpose? And although society and many people in our society will say, no, that work doesn't matter as much as, one of those high level jobs, where you're making 6 figures. But it does. It really does matter. God cares so much about your work. And Jalen and I, we just discovered in the scriptures how many times God encounters people while they're working. Yes. Like they're doing ordinary life. It blew our minds. Like They're doing ordinary work, right? And
Right.
God encounters them and actually leads them into what their destiny is.
That's so amazing.
Like,
Okay.
I'll just share one. Like, Jalen, you can share a few more if you want,
All
but
right.
just
All right.
think about Moses, right? Moses. Moses encountered God, the burning bush, while he was working. He was shepherding the flock through the wilderness. He went on a long journey with his flock, just doing his normal job, and he encountered God there. And then
Jesus.
another person, the prophet Elisha.
Mm-hmm.
Elijah came to him while he was working. He was a part of his family. And
Okay.
when Elisha decided to go and follow God's call on his life fully as a prophet, he killed his ox, burned all of his tools, and went to work with Elijah as a prophet. But he was working.
Working, bro. That's so fire. And like you said, just going off of that, bro, you got Moses, you got Elisha, you got everybody used the metaphor or I need the girls, I need my Boaz. You know what I'm saying? They was in the field, bro. They were both in the field. That's where you found her. She was working, bro. I mean, even you go New Testament, you got Peter. Jesus pulled up on that man in his boat. Like he was
Bruh,
like,
they
"Oh,
were
you fishing?
working.
You working, bro? You fishing? All right, bro. Let's you know what I'm saying? Let me help you. Real quick." Like I think God really, and you know what? To be real, let's take it all the way back. The first time we read about God is working, bro.
Mm-hmm.
From the jump, it's like in the beginning, you know what I'm saying? God created the heavens and the earth. He was working. It said after the sixth day, he rested, you know what I'm saying, from his work. So it's like, shit, that's from the jump.
Yeah.
Working is important.
Yeah, it is important. And it's important that we, as, just ordinary people going to work every day, caring for their families, that we find that God is in the extraordinary and he's also in the ordinary. And he doesn't make those kind of distinctions. Even when I say ordinary people, I kind of pause on that because God doesn't see through those lines the way that our culture does. Our culture loves to make those lines of distinction where, this person or that group of people is more worthy than those people. Like we talked about this earlier, meritocracy, where it's all about the value that someone can bring. That's what value that they have is all based on merit. But in the kingdom of God and God's reality, our value is based on who we are in him.
Wow.
And then our work flows out of that. And did you know that an average person spends a third of their lifetime at work? You spend a third of your lifetime at work.
A third of your
lifetime? A third
lifetime?
of your lifetime is at work.
Jeez.
So how can God not care about your work?
That's facts. Oh my God.
It's a third of your lifetime.
I'm 27, so it's like at least 9 of them, bruh.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. I ain't know that. Man. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Jeez, like it matters so much to God's heart what you do, no matter what it is. You can be, and I've had all kinds of jobs. I've been a cashier at Burger King. I've been a dishwasher at a barbecue joint. People down south know Sonny's Barbecue.
Oh,
I was up in Sonny's washing them dishes, cleaning them dishes, cleaning them nasty bathrooms. And I've done it, and I've also had office jobs. Right now I'm working as a technical recruiter, and so I've had those menial jobs, and I've also had this office style of kind of work. And I know that, and I am convinced that God's heart didn't change from me.
Wow.
And who I am in Him between my vocations. My identity has always been the same. And for example, we just find in Joshua, in the book of Joshua, when God called Gideon. God rolls up on Gideon, and he's like, "Hey, you're a mighty warrior of God." And Gideon's like, "Do you know who I am? I'm the least of my family, and my family is the least of our people. So how
Wow.
can I be this
Wow.
mighty warrior of God?" But God's like, "Nope, you're a mighty warrior of God." So is
Right.
not what we do with our hands that gives us our
Yeah.
identity and purpose. It's who God says we are. And then
Jesus.
that informs and flows into our work.
Jesus. You said a mouthful right there. That's incredible, man. Because I think that's encouraging because, like you said, I think sometimes it is easy to get into that place where you feel like, okay, the work I'm doing, if it isn't church related or if it isn't what people would deem, oh, that's a great job. That's a great career position that it don't necessarily mean anything or have impact, but nah, man, I agree. All of it has meaning. All it has purpose. Just to be honest with you, you look at the situation we're in with this pandemic right now. If nothing else has shown us that a lot of times those people who are in positions that get overlooked, you got people who are truck drivers, people who are medical professionals, people who are, the cashiers, the grocers, all these different positions. Bruh, if they stop working, if they stop, everything is stopping. It's like
essential workers.
Essential workers. Like it's too important.
It's too, and it's always been true.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fascinating thing about it, is that this has always been true, but our culture, like our social constructs, has spinned a story that says that only certain kind of work really matters.
Wow.
But that's not true.
That's not true.
All
right?
work matters. All work matters. We need the CEOs of corporate banks. We need those people. They need to be honest. They need to be people of integrity. We've seen too many cases of abuses of power, but we still need leadership in these high-end settings. And like you said, Jalen, in the spaces of COVID-19, we need those people to stock the grocery shelves. My wife and I, we go grocery shopping quite often now, and we need those people.
Yes. Oh my God. If they, I tell you, I think about this all the time. You go through I always love this. Both of us went to Jones Elementary, Mactown, you know what I'm saying? And I always loved that. I think I was in the 5th grade. They had a day, they would have a day where they would honor the custodial staff. And they had like a whole lunch or so set out for the custodial staff. So they'd come in, they had people serving them, have tables set up real nice. And I just always valued that and remembered that, because it's like, yeah, you may be a principal, you may be a teacher, you may make way more than this person, but I guarantee you, if one teacher doesn't come to work, teacher don't come to work a couple of days, it'll impact some kids. It'll make a difference. Let the custodians not come to work.
What?
You ain't trying to work nowhere where the custodians not doing, where they not going, you not trying to work there. I promise you that. I promise you that. So it matters, man. Every part of work matters. Every type of work, man. God doesn't differentiate on or show special, like, oh, well, that don't really matter to me. Nah, man. God cares about all types of work. But I want to ask now, like, how does the passion part play into it? You know what I'm saying? Because we know, kind of what we were saying with different types of work. We all know people, and I know we all been in positions where we might not be as passionate about the type of work that we're doing. So how does, I guess that's the one thing to think about, how does God care, or how does God view that when we're not necessarily passionate about the field? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and the passion, right? The passion ideal when it comes to work, it is pervasive in our generation, right? And we have to understand that it is a very modern way of thinking. Generations past didn't care so much about passion when it comes to work and deriving their meaning from work.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Like their meaning came from something else. Yeah. And a lot of it had to do with family, with their standing in society and the greater good of the community. But our generation and our society has become much more individualistic.
Yeah.
And it's all about becoming the highest or the best version of yourself. And that isn't biblical. Not completely. There's certain parts of it, and that's the thing about it. It has a little truth to it, but it's been distorted. It's been distorted. God cares deeply about who we are as individuals. He does. But our passion when it comes to our work, it has to be thought through the lens of the way God sees it. And for example, I was reading this book called So Good They Can't Ignore You by Cal Newport. And he talks about how passion has in a way misguided most of our generation to thinking that in order for them to have a meaningful life, they have to do something that they're passionate about. And a lot of times that searching of passion guides their decisions. And they make and a lot of times people can make poor decisions when it comes to their vocational life because they're seeking some kind of passion.
Wow.
And so where I have landed now is that passion should be informed by my skills.
Talk more on that.
Okay, for example, all right, if you are passionate about, let's just go with massage therapy.
Yeah.
Right? You love it. You've been impacted deeply by massage therapy as someone who's received healing from that and comfort. But you are an investment bank. I don't know why I keep going back to finance, but you are an investment banker full time. If you've been in that industry for 10 years. And on the side, on the weekends or occasionally, you like to work with massage therapy. You're passionate about it. You see the value of it.
Yeah.
You end up quitting your job to become a massage therapist and open up your own shop. But you do not have the years of experience, the skills to actually successfully do that work. Most people in your world knows you as this investment banker, but now you've quit your job to become this massage therapist. That's misinformed. And a lot of times people do that and they fail. Not every case, but most cases they fail. Yeah. And it's because they chose that their passion drove their decisions, not necessarily their skills driving their decisions.
Good. That's good. That's so good. And that's so good because it is easy to hear that a lot of times when people say, okay, well, you know what I'm saying? Just go for it. Just go out there.
Just go for it.
Just go for it. Just go for it. And don't get me wrong. I think that they're in whatever you do, especially if you're chasing something that you know, like you said, passionate about, there's going to be a level of risk, but I think there has to be a calculated risk.
Calculated risk.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I know for me, I truly just don't think God is like, you know what? Just quit today and just do something that you just have no, you know what I mean? You passionate about, but you ain't putting no no foundation down. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, bruh, nah. You know what I mean? I think that's, that can be a bit dangerous. And I'm not saying that it doesn't work out ever, because it has, absolutely.
Yeah,
For some people,
it has.
and God bless you. You know what I'm saying? Because if that was really the path you were supposed to take, then hey, turn up. But like you said, I think that, like you said, if we are only locked in on our passions, the dangerous thing is passions change, passions wane. Passions can, you, for example, if you treat your job just like, oh, it's a girl, just look, the finest girl to you. But she the finest I ever seen.
Ridiculous.
It's like ridiculous. Bruh, it don't matter how, you know what I mean, how you just, when you seen her that first time, even though you can have a great relationship, passion changes. If it's not really based in it changes. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have a time where, man, I ain't feeling it today, bro. I ain't feeling it. Like, so it's like you can't just move, you know what I'm saying, just because what happened is, if you lose passion in that, then when you see something else you feel like you're passionate about, you just gonna move on, and you ain't built no roots. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you just hopping from one thing to the next, just following your passions.
Right, exactly. And your passion, I feel like your passion can't necessarily, like you said, can't drive you. I think one thing that hit me was like, when we look at all these different people, like you said, that were in the Bible, or who were working the different stuff, and we see God encountering them in their work. One thing I could see is just like, it has to get to a point, I think, for all of us, regardless of what line of work that we're in, I think our passion has to be more so out of our service to God versus loving everything that we do. Because I don't care what career you in, you're going to have stuff you don't like about it. You know what I mean? But I feel like if you find something that's constant, which is everywhere I go, whether I'm a finance banker, I'm an investor, or I'm a massage therapist, I'm whatever I do, my passion is built on, I'm serving people, I'm loving people, and I'm serving God. And I feel like you can do that in anywhere you go.
And that's so true. And you brushed up on something called the sacred and secular divide. And that is a worldly construct. It's not kingdom. It's not God's heart. Is where people have divided the sacred, and what people think about when they think about sacred is the ministry, the work of ministers. And the normal everyday work of, like we talked about, being an essential worker, a nurse, a school teacher, a grocer. And so that sacred and secular divide, it can trip a lot of people up, because it's like, oh wow, if I'm not doing God's work, then what I'm doing really doesn't matter. It's not spiritual. And it's like, no, what you're doing is spiritual.
Facts.
Are you doing it to honor and love God? Then it's spiritual. then it's godly. And you hit this part earlier. It's like, actually, everything is spiritual. It also, Jalen, you talked about everything is spiritual.
Everything is spiritual, bro. Listen, everything we do and every type of work, it has some spiritual implications, whether you fall on the side of doing it, to honor God or not. Every type of job has spiritual implications. It's going to make some type of spiritual impact on you and the people you're around and going to work for and work with. Like, I think about it, man, like with this thing, that sacred versus secular, man, I feel like God God ain't looking at it with a barrier like, all right, man, if you ain't just doing something where you're outright sharing the gospel, you're not working for me. Like, nah, bro, your lifestyle, your lifestyle, how you honor people. I look at, for example, one of the bigger people example that pretty much everybody know now is Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
Steph Curry is not in a position that would merit, a lot of people would say, is technically ministry. You know what I'm saying? But it is. Because he's showing. And one thing is, something you said, it was a quote. What did you say about it was something you said about excellence. What was the quote you said about excellence?
Oh, yeah. We can't forfeit excellence for the sake of passion.
Can't forfeit excellence for the sake of passion. Steph Curry is in a position where he's not necessarily in a position that looks like ministry, but he's in a position of working that he's showing God through his level of excellence.
Wow.
Every day,
that's good.
He shows God through it. Because here's the thing: we serve an excellent God. God is excellent.
Come on.
So it's like God is like, all right, he's a believer, yes, but he isn't necessarily going out here and saying, "Hey, man, 3:16, John 3:16 did this." Nah, he's showing you, "Hey, God gave me these gifts. I honor God with these gifts and this work that I do by being excellent in what I do." You know what I'm saying? And I feel like it's a blessing that he's in something that he's passionate about as well at the same point. But I feel like his drive and his passion is overall, I want to honor God. And that's where we all got to get to, you know?
That is so good. We all have to get to that place where, okay, I am a hairdresser or a barber. Let's just think about hairdressers and barbers. They touch people's lives all the time.
Oh my God.
And they have people sitting in their chair for a barbershop that's about 30, 45 minutes at the most. For a hairdresser, that can be up to 6 hours. That I'm sorry, ladies, it is unfair. It's unfair. But they have these blocks of time where people are stationed with them. Can you imagine how much ministry can happen?
Oh my God.
Right there in those seats?
Come on. Whew.
So
That's good.
Like the kind of conversations that can happen, you know, and a lot of times people feel more comfortable sharing their business with their hairdresser or their barber more than they'll share with the pastor or some kind of minister.
Listen.
And so if you're a man or woman of God who works in a capacity like this, doesn't have to be a hairdresser or a barber, but you work in a capacity where you have the ability to touch people and work with people, there's a unique opportunity to share the heart of God with those people.
Yes. Oh my God, that's so
we need
powerful,
that.
Bro. We need that, bro. The barbershop and the beautician, the barber and the beautician have been low-key therapists for our community forever. And honestly, unlicensed clergy for
unlicensed clergy. What?
Depending on where you look at it, you know what I'm saying? And I think too, man, just going off of what we're saying with work too, not only is it a blessing, it gets to honor God. I feel like every person God has put in the service industry, no matter how, every person is in the service industry. Because God, every act of work that we do, regardless of if it's you by yourself on the computer having to work all day, do something, or you are a person in front of hundreds of people every day, you are in the service industry.
You're serving somebody.
You're serving somebody. So I feel like God is really invested in that and invested in making sure that regardless of what you're doing, serve like you're serving me, because you are serving me. And if you serve with that attitude, that can help you to excel in whatever you're doing.
Yeah. And I think about the countless times I've had the opportunity to pray with people at my job. And it is amazing how God has used me just, you know, as one of his children to touch someone else. There's been countless times I just met people in my job or even outside of my job while I'm walking or commuting back and forth to work. And, you know, and God like just blesses a conversation. And next thing I know, you know, I'm laying hands on somebody and I'm praying for them.
Jesus. Bro.
You know, and I'm not sure, Jalen, have you had any experiences like that?
Yeah. You know, I haven't laid no hands on nobody just yet. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna put on like that yet. But no, conversations,
Mm,
absolutely. Because that's the thing. Where else are you gonna have conversations with people besides when you're in the world? That you can't. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's been plenty of times where I've been at work, and I'm talking with a person, and actually how I'm serving has opened up the opportunity. For example, I remember working at Kroger.
mm,
It was a girl who was a cashier who worked there. And, you know, it was my first job at Kroger. And to the most part, I try my best to have a pretty, you know, good attitude, you know, when I'm working, you know. And so that was one thing she just was asking about. She's like, how you always happy when you come
mm.
in? Like, how you always got a good, you know what I mean? How are you always have a good disposition when you come to work? You know what I'm saying? And that was an opportunity to witness, you know what I mean? And just like,
Yeah.
hey man, I believe in Jesus. This is this, you know, I believe this is a blessed opportunity. I believe that sometimes a job that we complain about is a job somebody praying for, you know what I'm saying? And that
Mm-hmm.
we overlook that at times, you know, that gratefulness. And so, yeah, man, God will use work, all those different things to not only open up opportunities to share about Him, but also I think too, just saying to protect us as well.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
To protect us from ourselves.
Oh my gosh.
Because if you are not working, oh my gosh, the opportunities to get into things that are not good for you is
Oh my gosh.
endless.
Endless.
And you'll be
Endless.
surprised how creatively evil your mind can be when it
Boy.
does not have much to do.
Boy. Bruh.
Um,
My
yeah,
God.
and that's a
Creatively
whole
evil.
and that's
Oh
a
my
whole other
God.
podcast. That's a whole other
Yeah.
podcast. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, we're gonna get ready to close this thing out. But I just
Yes,
wanted to
yes.
say one thing before we leave out here to all of the people who are believers going to their ordinary jobs every single day, um, being diligent, working, taking care of their families. We bless you. We honor
Yes.
you. God sees
Yes.
you.
Yes, he
God
does.
sees you in your work. Whether
Yes.
you are a cashier at Burger King like I used to do, you're washing dishes, you're
Mhm.
cleaning bathrooms,
Mhm.
God blesses you. And
Yes.
remember that Jesus was born into a low income family and community.
Come on. Come on.
So he identifies
Come
with
on.
those who are poor and he identifies with those who are rich
Yes. Come
because
on.
the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. It all is God's. So God identifies with all of us, and he
Yes.
blesses you in your work.
Yes. Jesus. Jesus. Well, man, I think we just about said it all, man, here, bro. I just think that is incredible. And I think that gives us so much wisdom and perspective on how we should view work and how we should love and value work, man, because
Mm-hmm.
God uses it and he just blesses us so much through work, you know. So I love it, man. Well, man, I just thank God for every person who's tuned in today. Man, once again, we encourage you. If you want to reach out to us, you know, find us on Instagram, YouTube,
Yeah.
Spotify. And also remember, not just for the podcast stuff, but dude, if you have something you need prayer for or anything, reach out to us. Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
hit us up, you know, let us
Yeah.
know. We are here to support, we're here to serve. And until the next time, Craig, you got anything you want to leave them with?
Keep doing well, everybody.
Do well. See you later.